Hey, EmpowerX community, Serena,
And Sarah here.
your host on this exciting journey of conversations for and by women.
Pour your favorite beverage, tune in, and let's dive into the heart-to-heart talks that empower us all.
Cheers!
Cheers!
So today we have Swati with us, who is going to share a little bit of her perspective around how it is that we come to be women in these roles in our lives and at work, and we put such big pressures on ourselves to have our own version of success, whatever that is, to secure a seat at the table. And then sometimes we forget about the actual person behind the space and our mental health and physical health. So tell us a little about you, Swati, and how you've gotten to where you are today and some of the experiences along the way.
Yeah. Thanks, Serena. So my name's Swati. I'm now the marketing director here at Model On, which is an engineering tech company based in Sweden. But I started also in engineering and supply chain. Uh, I was in engineering school at University of Michigan, and I happened upon this internship at Mamasoft. And I was just so excited to get an internship and learn about the corporate world. And then I just ended up extending my contract. It was only supposed to go a summer. Then it went through a semester, and then the semester after that. And it turned out that I just kept working for like 3 years, just nonstop throughout college. And they extended a full-time offer. I took that, worked a couple more years at Lamasoft, and then I like really embarked on my own path. So I actually joined Model On, the company that I'm at right now, and tried that and had a really great time. But then I got this awesome opportunity with some of the people that I worked at Lamasoft, and our goal there was to help startups with their marketing, with getting out there in the world. So for me, it was such a great experience just working with people that I genuinely loved, and and figuring out these new industries, learning so much on the job. I had to basically just teach myself a lot of these things because there was nobody else to teach me. So it was a lot of reading, a lot of just looking at things, and trying stuff out. So I had a blast doing that. And then Model On called me. I guess I made a good impression the first time, and they said that they're looking for a marketing director, and I had insane imposter syndrome. Insane. Like I was like, this must be a mistake. I don't know why they're calling me. But I took the job because, I have a great support system, and I want to talk more about that support system because that's really what
Yeah.
brought me through my entire career. I have to give like most of my credit to that. But yeah, now I'm at Model On. I've been here for 2 years now, or the second time now, 2 years. Um, Things are great. I'm just every day I get to work, and I love what I do, and I'm learning more about myself. And when I think, like now that I'm talking about it, the
Mhm.
person who I was when I started at Lamasoft and the person I am today, there's been so much
Yes.
growth in the middle of that,
Yeah.
um, in such a short amount of time that it like blows my mind.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing how those experiences. There's a point in time. Well, and it actually I feel like it's throughout. Like you're a sponge and you're absorbing all of the things and all of the knowledge and all of the experiences, and then you realize, oh yeah, I have my own opinions on these things.
Yeah.
I now have experience that I can bounce this off of to figure out how we should go from here.
Right. I mean, I was so content learning when I was in that internship. I sat with the engineers when I was doing QA, then moved into marketing. And so much of it, I just was like witnessing what people were
Yeah.
doing and what they did right, but then also like what didn't work out so well. And all of those experiences were necessary for me to be successful in my job now. Just
Yeah.
seeing these people, being around these people, it was that really set me up for success. So um
Absolutely. Yeah, and I
yeah.
think sometimes we put pressure on, speaking of pressures, I think one of the things that, I remember feeling as a kid is like, oh, what are you going to be when you grow up? I don't know. I still don't know if I'm actually in the right spot, but I feel like I keep getting closer. Every time I try something new, I figure out what I don't like, or I figure out what I do like, and we just keep kind of, transforming the path as we go.
Yeah. I did not think I'd get into marketing, to be honest. Like when I was in college, I did not think that, but I was working, we were on like a third floor. It's very dark compared to all the other floors. And marketing, I was like, you know what? Why not? Let me just try it out. And I ended up liking it. So, but that's really how it went was I just decided to try it on a whim. But
Yep, absolutely. All right, so talk about some of those challenges that you felt along the way as you were kind of, you mentioned not knowing a lot of not knowing a lot of some of the roles that you've had and just kind of learning and picking it up as you go. I think a personal experience of mine is somewhat similar of like, I want to do this thing. I've never done it before. No one else here in this organization has done it before. So I'm going to try it because it's something that sounds exciting. But what if somebody walking into and
yeah,
sometimes not having a clue?
right. Yeah, I mean, there has never been a time where I've been like 100% sure about what I'm walking into, but like I don't think anybody is ever 100% sure, right? But um for some reason, I and many other women feel like we have to really do our research before we even have any right to walk through that door. And so, whenever I'd propose something, and it took a lot out of me to propose something or be vocal about something, I made sure I did my research, not because that was what was required from everyone, but because I felt like if I didn't do that, um, people would just, kind of see it as, oh, this, she doesn't know what she's doing, or this is new to her. And so I did that
Yeah,
research as like a insurance policy in a way to be like, no, like,
yeah,
listen to me. I really researched this. And like, I feel like I see that a lot with a lot of my coworkers who are women is before they speak up, before they say anything, I know that they've read multiple articles, multiple books. They went through multiple scenarios just to bring up this one thing that for my male counterparts is a lot more off the cuff sometimes.
yeah.
And that's just, I mean, I think scientifically that's proven too. It's like uh when it comes to applying for jobs, women
Yes,
only
60%
apply.
of women, yeah, or they apply for only 60% of the roles that they actually match, whereas
Yeah,
men, they don't have to. It's
right,
90% if they match or not match, they could care less. They just go
right.
for
So there's this
it.
idea of having to know this information
Yeah,
before you walk through the door that I think as women we feel a lot more pressure of than, our male counterparts. So,
I totally flubbed that stat too. I'm pretty sure it's men apply for jobs where they know about 60% of the job qualifications. Women apply when they need
90%.
90%. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. There's a pressure that I think that's definitely one of the pressures we put on ourselves as well as like society, generally speaking.
Yeah.
There's also another stat that women are hired based on their achievements, whereas men are hired and promoted based on their potential, which I think
Hmm.
is also an interesting fact too. Like we are, as a gender, typically not ones to boast about our achievements much.
Hmm.
And the fact that that's what's tying us to promotions and to getting hired into places is holding us back then.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've always struggled to boast about my achievements. I still do to this,
Yes,
and to
yeah.
this day, I'm still, when I do something, I'm like, congrats, so and so
Yeah,
for the help. And like, I really like would like to congratulate them for the help, but it is really
right.
hard to put the spotlight on myself. So the way that I have to kind of like claw for my place, which
Yeah,
sounds like very animalistic, but like the way that I have to make my place, I guess, is I put this pressure on myself to be consistently successful all the time.
Yes.
Like just and that because of that, I have worked in the past like all my hours. And even through
Mhm.
college, like I didn't really even experience like a normal college life because I was working, and my days could have ended when, I left the office, but they never did, right? I would
Yeah.
do
Yep.
work stuff. And so I could just keep, proving myself and keep making that space that I'd worked so hard to earn. Um, Unfortunately, though, when that happens, um, a lot of things in your personal life or in my personal life really did suffer,
Yeah.
right? So I think I had spent so much time trying to understand what people were looking for, not just in me, but in general. And me working so hard to be that so I can just,
Yeah.
like say, hey, I'm smart and I deserve to be here. I had spent so much time thinking about what they wanted from me that I completely forgot about what I wanted from myself. And
Yeah.
so, midway through my career thus far, I came to a point where most of my value as a person was tied to who I was at my company and what people thought of me at
Yeah.
this company or at my
Yes.
job or whatever. And it was very unhealthy. And the other thing is, I can try so hard to be like to prove myself. And there will always be people, this is just like human nature, right? That will always be looking for something that you can't offer, or
Yeah.
there's always something like that. And so the danger with tying your value to how you perform and how much
Yes.
authority you have in a company is that when you can't get that for reasons outside of your control, it could cause you to go into like burnout, spiral, whatever.
Yes. Yeah, it makes me think of a quote from Devil Wears Prada, where the main character is talking about how her personal life is just falling apart.
Yeah.
And Nigel in it says, that's what happens when you start doing well at work. When your entire life goes up in smoke,
Yeah.
that's time for a promotion. And it does feel that way a lot, is there's no good, like, easy solution to balancing both areas or the many areas of your life. Somehow we just have to figure out how to integrate them.
Yeah.
And I think that something that we've kind of, I think me personally, I saw my own mom do this a lot, just continue to push, 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 at the expense of her own health.
Mhm.
And so naturally I did the same. But it's a key piece, I think. Why do we feel like in order to be successful, we have to put everything else in front of us while we're trying to push so hard in our own careers that we forget to, like, take care of the person pushing?
Yeah. Well, we only have a capped amount of energy, right? We have a
Yeah.
capped amount of energy, and it's it is genuinely hard to still break into a male dominated
Yeah.
field, and that's just naturally going to require more energy, more fuel out of the tank. And women also have other things that they're responsible for, like families. I don't have a family myself, but one thing that I happen to be responsible for, which I find only women become at the workplace, is like the vibe, I guess. Like
Yeah.
in general, like how is everybody emotionally, right? We are like, I don't know
Yeah.
how we find ourselves to do that, but like we become the keepers of emotion too, and that takes energy as well.
It
And I
does.
remember this one time I came in, I was just having a bad day, right? I was having a bad day, came in, just not my usual chipper self. Which I it's not like it's hard for me, like it's not like it's unnatural for me to be chipper or anything, but
Right.
it's
Right.
definitely something that I'm aware of doing because I'm trying to keep the vibe.
Yes.
Like I'm doing this emotional policing or emotional. Policing is not the right word. Emotional like service, I guess.
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
doing emotional service. And I had a bad day and I came in and my manager at the time said to me, "Hey, like when you're in a bad mood, or you are feeling down and not engaging, it brings the entire room down. So you really got to step it up," is
Mm.
what this person said.
Suck it
And
up.
so
Suck it up. Yeah.
yeah, it's no, not even just suck it up. Perform the way you're supposed
Yeah.
to perform because everybody else is depending on that performance. And I feel like as like emotional servers, um
Hmm.
that's like an additional burden that we
Yeah.
have to keep. And so take that out, take work out or all the extra work that you have to do. It doesn't leave much time. Take kids out or family
Yeah.
out. It does not leave much time to be like, okay, what are my hobbies? How do I get to see my friends? Am I eating well? Am I working out? Am I like nourishing my body? Like that just there's not enough fuel in the tank to take care of all those things. If
No, it's like each thing is another filter that you're applying over yourself. And like you forget sometimes who you actually are because it's just a completely different picture at that point.
Right. And I did forget who I was. And when I was 26, I forgot who I was. And I was going to therapy and I just like I burned out at work. Like
Yeah.
and very like classic American work culture. I didn't take my break for burning out.
Yeah.
I just burned out and still like kind of like slogged through it. But I was not happy with work. I was not happy with who I was. I didn't know who I was. Um, and my work performance suffered from that. My health suffered from that. Really, everything I was trying to do to juggle all these balls, like they all just came crashing down um, at
Yeah.
around that age. So it didn't start getting better until I had to rewire my brain and had to basically figure out, had to basically think about what I needed to see in myself to feel happy
Hmm.
with myself. And once I could do that, my ability, my intelligence, my skills have always been there. My intelligence has always been there. So like I really did not need to put in so much energy into work that I was and take away from my personal stuff
Yeah.
to like be the competent person that I've always wanted to be. I'd
Yeah.
always had that, but it just took a while for me to be like the only person that should care about that is you.
Yeah.
And yeah, and now it's like okay, I may not win everyone over, right? But I surround myself with people that are supportive. My manager right now is supportive. My manager before this, Benjamin, he actually helped me through this burnout. Like without him and him being like, Swati, you have to go easy on yourself. You have to just like,
Yeah.
he really believed that I was smart and competent the entire way. And so that
Yeah.
gave me the room to be like, okay, breathe, Swati. Who are you as a
Yes.
person? What do you like to do? And you can be that smart person while you also nurture yourself. Both things
Yeah.
can be true. So,
Yeah. That's amazing. I think I know again from my own personal experience, I set a high bar, high standard for myself. And then that becomes the norm that everyone expects of you. And so
yeah,
when you dip below that, even 5, 10%, people are like, what's going on? Are you
yeah,
okay? Is everything all right? It's like, no, I'm just trying to be an actual like normal human today, not a
yeah,
superhuman.
right.
So yeah, I totally get that. And that's something that again, yeah, I think you're right. You have to unlearn it,
Yeah,
relearn it, and then set new boundaries and new expectations for
right.
yourself and for others around you.
Yeah. And know that people will ask. People will ask
Yeah.
and be like, what happened? Why aren't you as like, you know, as like determined as you were before. And it's what they're really saying is like, why are you different?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't really mean that you're less determined or you're less capable. They really just don't know how to verbalize that difference in you.
Yeah.
And you you're still that person. You're still that smart person. You're still capable, highly capable.
Absolutely.
You're just setting boundaries and making room for yourself, carving actual room for yourself.
100%. Yeah. And I think it's something that is such an easy thing to say, but enforcing it is where it becomes difficult. And it's a
Yeah.
constant practice and constant like, no, you didn't do that. Let's reset. Let's do it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, and I think the way that I like enforce this again is having I have probably the best I the best set of friends I could possibly ask for. And they really help me enforce this because I think like having that support group both
Yeah.
in the corporate life but then outside, the
Yeah.
outside one especially because I think they remind me of
Yeah.
like what is more important in life, right? Of like, oh, you're happy, you can be
Yeah.
yourself. Um, and so like I try to balance both. I balance work, but then I also make time for these friends who remind me
Yeah.
to like continue to nourish that part. So I don't slip back into
Yeah.
just tying my value to work.
Yes. Well, fantastic. Well, I know we're running out of time here, so thank you very much for chatting with us and sharing some of your life experiences. I think, as you mentioned, so many of these things are so common to what a lot of us women experience and face, and it's nice just to be able to talk about it and to be able to learn from what did you do to try and combat this? How is that working for you? And then finally, to your last note, having a group of people that you can be authentic with that can keep you in check. Like you need to
Mhm.
just calm down.
Yeah.
It's okay just to back up a step and
Yeah.
breathe. So
Yeah. No, this is really fun. But no, thank you so much, Serena. I had a great
yeah,
time.
absolutely.
That's a wrap on another episode of Empowering Exchanges. We hope you enjoyed this chat and would love to hear your suggestions for additional topics on challenges, triumphs, and the laughter that bonds us together.
Don't forget to hit subscribe, share the love, and join us on Tuesdays for another dose of wisdom, wit, and warmth. Keep shining, keep thriving, and keep toasting to the incredible journey of womanhood.
Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.